You know, we're gonna pop in. Mondays, y'all know we go hour. Welcome everybody. We gave everybody 5 minutes. We're gonna start the discussion. Galaxy A tablet. Do you want to be seen?
That's Miss Brown.
How to be seen. Don't laugh at me.
You want your video on? Look at the bottom of the screen. Look at video. There's going to be a slash over the video icon. Click the video icon and everything should be good after that. What's going on, Drastic?
Hey, Drastic, how are you?
Okay, so.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, what's happening? Oh, shoe on the couch today. Really gonna be on that couch today. So, all right, we're gonna start this discussion today. Today's discussion. Do we truly believe in togetherness? And we're gonna start off how we always start off. I want everybody to define togetherness for us, how they feel, what togetherness means in regards to relationships, personal relationships.
I can start.
Somebody want to go first?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear you. You low, but we can hear you.
So did you say go ahead to me or to Barry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Togetherness to me is, well, I should say togetherness is, in personal relationships, always thinking about the person that you're in relationships with and thinking about how your actions are going to affect how they're going to affect their lives, and they have the same regard for you as well. So, loyalty, dedication, mindfulness, that's all togetherness.
Okay, what about you, Drastic Barry?
I mean, it's really not much more to add to that other than saying the same thing in different words, it's basically being in agreement, being in one hand, know what the other is doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's honesty and transparency, you know what I'm saying? So there's agreement. You guys are, in a relationship, y'all both got the same big picture goals in mind. You might have, other supporting goals that come into alignment with the big goal of what direction you guys are going in. But yeah, it's basically agreement, congruency,
Okay. What about you, Barry?
I think I'm gonna just continue to repeat what everybody else has said. I think it's how can two walk together unless they be agreed? And so the principle is that we have to be able to see the same picture, the same concept, same goals, same ideals, because we're two individuals, but we've agreed to walk together to be in a relationship together. And so how do we come to do that together? And what are the things that we need to do to be able to walk together and be aligned?
And go ahead, Jerry. What do you think?
Well, togetherness is basically signing up for something and owning everything that you sign up for. So every decision you make, everything you do, you have to have those people and the thing that you agree to in mind. Every time you make a decision, every time you take a job, when you have children, when you want to move away. And, we're taught that we have friends until we get married, then we don't have any friends, and it's our husband and it's our husband or wife and our children, and that should be our focus. But when we talk about togetherness and going through the journey with other people, we should factor in those other people as well. And I think that that's something that's not truly supported.
Definitely. I mean, anytime when we picked this topic, we was thinking more of, okay, so most people do things together and they think, okay, together is the goal. But togetherness is a bigger step. Togetherness is all about the mentality of understanding that when you are actually entering a commitment, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic partner, you're saying I'm going to factor them into all my decisions. So you're saying that person is going to be the best suited person to actually help you navigate through life with. And we look at togetherness and or being together, and we're looking at self-preservation, what we can get out of the situation. And you know, us as humans, we always say, okay, selfishness is a part of being human. It's a part of who we are, self-preservation. But really, it's love and belonging. If love and belonging is a part of who we are, then why wouldn't we give give the most to the people that we actually are in contact with, the people we actually signed on to relationships with? Why don't we look at them first and then spread it out, you know, across the rest of the world? So when you think of togetherness, you know, in y'all past personal relationships, how have y'all fallen short, or how have y'all actually, you know, owned up to it?
Well, before we move on, Shamir said when she thinks of togetherness, she thinks of unity. So
Okay.
just to add to that,
Definitely.
we see you, Juice.
I will say that in my situation, it's always been, my theory has always been is that we didn't have a common picture and we didn't have agreed upon ways of getting to that picture. I may have had a picture about how things I saw and how I thought things are, and they had a different picture, and we never really sat down and actually discussed what that picture was. And the really, in a sense, coming to the place of agreement on that we both want to get to that same place. It's either the timing wasn't right or just didn't talk about the things we needed to talk about to get to a place where we can actually walk together. Either we didn't do the necessary work to get rid of the barriers, or trying to get to a place of transparency and honesty so we can actually walk together without any conflicts. I mean, you're going to have conflicts because you're two people, but the conflicts that bring division are the things that you got to address and talk about, because you may have incompatible values but you're trying to walk together. And so you do have to have those discussions, because you can't walk together unless you are aligned in a lot of areas, in a lot of ways.
I would say, can you hear me?
No,
Yeah, you sound low though.
you have to like.
How about now?
Yeah, you sound better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was in my past relationship. I was growing, and so I was completely selfish. There was no togetherness. It's all about me, and how can you help me, and how can you help make me feel better, and what can you teach me? How can I learn? So I would definitely say my last relationship, there was no togetherness. It was literally all about me.
Yeah, and I guess I'll say I definitely fell short in that area. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I've ever really understood the concept of interdependent. You know what I'm saying? Because I was always raised to be dependent. Like, you know, I'm not a cook for myself.
Okay.
I'm not a clean for my. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm not a cook for myself. I'm not a clean for myself. It's like, I don't understand how to do the interdependent thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a relationship is just like, you know, we there because we want to be there. Yeah, that's the best understanding that I have. I don't know. Yeah. Without repeat, I guess, I don't know how to say it any other way without repeating myself. It's just,
Okay.
the interdependence thing is like a challenge for me, I guess.
Definitely. So where have y'all believed that y'all, you know, have held up to y'all end of the deal?
At least for me, I'll say I brought the energy. I brought I had the heartbeat to want to do it and want to make it work. It's just, once again, you can put all the energy and effort into trying to make it work. But if there are so many things that are not aligned, it's like, here in Boston, we like rowboating and crewing. And, if you ever seen, professional, racing, that stroke count is everything. And so one person can't be off, because it throws everything off. You've got to be on that same cadence and same stuff, because if you don't get on that cadence, it causes you so many issues. And so there were so many things that I didn't see and didn't work on addressing that throughout our cadence and caused more issues and caused more things. And so I had the energy, I had the passion for it. We just didn't have the right cadence to actually get it done.
All right.
Well, I would say,
Go ahead.
No, I would say, and even my past experiences, I think that I didn't always think of togetherness, because things are all good when you guys are trying to like plan a party, plan a trip, and do all the things that don't cause conflict. But as soon as you're being asked to do something, or you asked to step up when you're not feeling as well, or you're just not in the mood, like those are the times when your principles should go into overdrive, and you really, you know, you really think about the group instead of yourself. So I think that too, like I will make an excuse like, oh, I have my period today. And I'm not saying that me having cramps is not an issue, but I can say like, how did me having cramps supersede what we plan to do? You know what I mean? Like I should be mature enough to say, I have cramps today, I'm gonna move slow, but I'm still gonna show up, be present, and do what I said I was gonna do. And I think that in both, like in many relationships that I had, and they were not always at fault too. Like I, used to do that as well, where things were all good until I personally didn't. I personally had something going on with me, so that trumped the overall plan. And I think that we give excuses for that. I think we enable that behavior because we think we're entitled. Most people like, you have cramps, like you should be able to stay home, but not when I signed up for something else. It's like we have I'm a mom, so yeah, I can have cramps. Does that stop me from being a mother? No, because my principle is that I want to be a good mom. I want to be present. I want to be there, and I should be able I should be able to do whatever I signed up for. So I think that a lot of people, and we often give those excuses. We want those excuses, and I think that that's where togetherness kind of goes out the window. But when we want to get together to plan something, we're all there. But as soon as one feels away, or one doesn't want to step up in the way that they were supposed to, then that's when it becomes the issue. And I think we all, most of us fall into that, where we lead with emotion, and that becomes the thing.
Jay, can I ask a question of you? You made a point as you was talking about. So how do you address the issue of when, so it's not the big stuff, right? You're right. So you're big stuff. So we, planning a trip or doing something fun that we're all excited about. But I'm talking about the day-to-day stuff, like that day-to-day, everyday routine, because that's where, to me, it seems like we don't really know how to be together and walk together and everything else. That day-to-day where it ain't exciting, it ain't big, we ain't doing something big. We're not going out on some trip. It's just the day-to-day stuff. And how do we do that? How have you addressed that part in walking together?
Well, it's addressing where the disconnect is. So if we have the same objective, it's always revisiting that if we're disconnecting on that. So it's say day to day. If you want to go with friends, if we say that, we are supposed to go through life together, we want to help each other raise each other's kids, and we want to, again, those may be big things, but if you are stepping up to say, hey, I want to help you raise your child, then that also, that's day to day, right? So I decided that I want to have you in my life. You decided you want to have me in their life. It starts with having that conversation and making sure that everyone is doing what they said that they wanted to do. And being unafraid to call things out, even when people may deem it petty. That's what we get. We kind of fall back because we don't want to seem like the petty friend, or you don't want to come across as if you're blowing things out of proportion. But the reality is, when you want to walk together and you want to make sure that you want to walk together, you have to have those conversations. And when things are not going quite the way that you thought they should, have that conversation no matter what, even if it seems minute, even if it seems like it's not a big deal at the moment, but it can become a big deal. And I think that people often wait till it becomes a big deal to address it. So it's really just being in constant communication, just saying like, hey, you said that you was going to show up, and not just show up, not just show your face, but be present. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people don't feel comfortable having those conversations because you have the at least people, at least they showed up, or at least they came, or at least they, you know what I mean? So people get passes, and I think that we should stop giving people passes, especially if that's not what we want.
Definitely. And to add to what Jerry's saying, I think that we have a bunch of ideals that don't connect to togetherness.
Yeah.
Everything is about self-preservation. Yeah, we are raised to actually look out for our family members, actually be there for our brothers and sisters, actually be supportive of our parents, things of that nature. But what's in place when you now start going outside the house and building your own personal relationships? What's in place to really say, okay, how can we do this as a unit? How could you put your money together and as kids and buy a whole pizza pie when you realize one or two of your friends don't have money? When are you practicing togetherness, as opposed to just looking out for yourself and making sure, you know, you have the best life. When the best life comes from having a great unit.
So I guess the thing that's where my challenge has been is that I feel like at some points we've gotten in, at least I've gotten in relationships and felt like the other person had, they were testing it out, because I also think that to be able to walk together, you can't test it out. You can't put your foot in there and just kind of see if it's going to work. You actually have to be fully committed to actually doing the work. So that means you can't have a, you know, like, well, I'm going to see if this works, and if they do their part, then I'm going to do my part. So you have one person over there putting all the energy trying to get it to work and doing the communication, doing this, doing that, and the other person's kind of saying, well, yeah, if they pass this level of this test, and then I'll do this next thing. And then you have one person over here frustrated because, hey, look, you know, I'm putting all this work in, and you know, we ain't together, and burnt, you know, people end up being burnt out, being frustrated, or just end up leaving the relationship because both people have to decide from the get-go that they're committed to the process and not just trying to see if it's going to work, actually putting the effort in to actually make it work.
I go one step
Well, you
further.
know,
What about actually dating until you're ready to commit?
I was just gonna say that, yes.
A lot of people, you're jumping in still figuring out whether you really want to be in a committed relationship. When you're in a committed relationship, it's because we do have these tiers. We have engagement, we have marriage, we have these tiers that we all brought into, so our word means less. But how can we go about our word meaning more and building up into something stronger? It's having an ideal. Understanding commitment means that I'm signing on to be with this person at their best, and I'm not accepting accepting them to be less. Not, oh, I'm waiting, okay, we can work through the issues. Yeah, we all gonna fall short. We all gonna have question marks. We all gonna, you know, wake up some days and we're sick and things that's out of our control, yes. But I'm gonna put my best foot forward most days, and that's my mentality, that's my goal. Every day I show up. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that can make it to work on time every day, but can't be on time for their family, can't be on time for their friends. You know what I mean? Like, your priorities not aligned. So when we talk about togetherness, we're signing on. Once we say we ready for togetherness, we ready to sign on to think of other people. We ready to involve other people in our day to day, not just some days, not just here and there, but day to day. You know what I mean? Making plans together. And if you're not ready to make plans together, don't join. Don't join togetherness, because it's about making plans together as a unit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like you said, it's we go into these relationships, and if so, here's the thing. Like, people always say, like, you know, you have to earn your trust, right? But it's like, and Aziz and I was just talking about this the other day about the analogy. Like, when you're starting a new class, the teacher always says you start out at 100, right? And then from there, depending on how much effort or how well you do, then your grade could either stay, you can maintain that 100, or your grades start to dip down. It's the same relationship. You shouldn't be dating a person that you think that you have to ease into trusting them. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things like, yes, you're not gonna just jump in, you know, 2 feet, like, you know what, you take all of me. But at the same time, in order for you to know if it truly works, you have to be vulnerable, you have to be open. And anybody that is tiptoeing into a relationship is probably not ready. And so when you have someone who's not ready, then you can't have these conversations. You can't talk about togetherness. You can't really talk about principles, because they don't really trust the process. So you really have to be around people that trust the process, and that are able to trust, so that you can build something. And I think that that's where we go wrong. We connect with people that are not ready to build anything because they have trust issues. They're not ready to be vulnerable. They want to take their time, and those things, you know, we all know that when we really want to deal with somebody, when we really want something, we go hard, right? So because we hope for the best. We go in hoping for the best. We make excuses for every single person that we want to date. So there would be no excuse on the other end if we are dealing with people that are apprehensive. And that's what's stopping, you know, people from really truly having a healthy connection, because we're getting people that are, we're connected, or we're attracted to people that don't match our energy. We're connected to people that don't really want to be vulnerable. We're connecting to people that don't really have the same beliefs, and they're, like you said, Barry, trying to feel things out. While you're all the way in, they feeling things out. Like, how do they even have a place with you? Like, how is that even gonna work? But we, like, I know I used to get caught up in the mystery, and I used to get caught up in, you know, let me teach this guy a little, you know, something, and I'm bringing something different to his life, but I shouldn't have to work as hard. Like, we shouldn't have to work as hard. We should meet the person in the middle and then build from there.
But people come into relationships, and I know I find that a lot of women, when we get into relationships or even friendships, we always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. Like we're always expecting something bad to happen. And then when it happens, or we go in with a crutch, so you're looking for a way out of the relationship if it doesn't work, rather than going in and giving it your all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tend to see, like, I sit and I speak to women all the time, but I tend to see it, they're always looking for the shoe to drop when it comes to somebody who is positive, when it comes to somebody who is quote unquote too good to be true, when it comes to a positive man. Because women are very intelligent. They can justify staying with a bad man, no?
Absolutely.
I watch it all the time. They'll find every reason and every way to stay in an unhealthy relationship. So when you say you're waiting for the shoe to drop, I mean, does that apply to, you think, every man, or does that just apply to the men that ask them to stand, like, that have the standards that's asking them to climb?
No, I think it's coming in with baggage that the woman hasn't let go of from the bad relationship, or the relationship that she made excuses to stay in until it I mean, you get in, when I say waiting for the other shoe to drop, it's too good to be true syndrome. Mm-hmm. But I think that we come in and we go into these relationships with all the baggage that we haven't reconciled, and or going into friendships, like I've learned how to just and I may have always just been this way, but sometimes getting burned by being vulnerable or being trusting, because I'll trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. And I'm talking about work relationships, I'm talking about personal relationships, I'm talking about friendships. So when I say relationships, I'm just talking about relationships that you are supposed to be getting into a common goal. I hope I'm not getting off the topic.
No, you're not.
You have a common goal, or you have a road that's in front of you, so everybody has to work together to meet that particular goal.
Can I get in there? Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Christine.
Okay, so happy to be back again, and I invited a couple friends. I think they're listening. So, I like to get all, I read a lot. So there's this book called Too Good to Stay, Too Bad to Leave. And I love it because that's where so many people are. So it's so easy to be like toxic, bad, But we have to remember that relationships are just as complex. Job, or am I just unhappy in that moment with whatever's going on, right? So there's some good parts. There has to be some good parts. And that's where I think that really creates a lot of confusion for all people. It's how do you weigh that? It's really too good to leave, and it's also too bad to stay. And it depends on the moment, and it depends on the day, and it depends on what we're doing. And I love that you guys are kind of talking about this you're talking about the mundane. Obviously, it's too good to leave when we're on vacation. And maybe it's too bad to stay when we're in the mundane and we don't really know how to entertain ourselves, or that we have enough hobbies on our own and we're constantly looking for each other to fill in that that feeling, and the other person falls short, and we're kind of pull, push, and that creates all those different layers of tension there too.
Well, my question would be, why are most people in their head? The complication is because we're trying to solve this issue by ourselves. We're not allowing our partners in. We're not allowing our friends in. We're too afraid to speak. We're too afraid to offend. We're too afraid, like we're just frightened in our relationship.
Yeah.
We're not really stepping up and saying, listen, these are the greatest people I've met. This is supposed to be the people I'm navigating through my life with, because it's time, it's time to really step up. It's really time to start opening up. It's time to start having a clear understanding of who these people are to you. Do you trust them? Do you believe in them? Do you admire them? Can you speak to them? Because as soon as you feel the need to say, yeah, I'm just not going to say nothing, the relationship's going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not taking the high road by saying, I'm just not saying anything. You're not taking the high road. And when it's dealing with trust, I was watching my child's mother the other day. Like, she gives stars every time, our child does something throughout the day. So she has a chart. And my child didn't sleep in his bed yet, but she gave him a star for the next day. So it made me think, like, okay, why are we having people earn things versus giving them it and seeing if they can maintain it? Because she taught me a valuable lesson. It's important to actually show people that you're coming as a whole. You're coming with everything. Not to put something on a back burner, but to come full and let them really truly see if they're meant for you. Let them really truly see if they have an understanding. Let them truly understand who you are. But now we're giving them pieces of ourselves all the time. And then we're expecting them to make informed decisions with just pieces. But we watched a 3-year-old, step up, go straight to his bed, sleep in his bed, wake up the next day and step up. Wasn't even a problem. Why? Because somebody had faith in him to give him a star before he actually went to bed. So we have to look at that. Like, why are we becoming the sin? Because we've been hurt. Why are we becoming the pain? Why are we not just looking for people who actually can help us maintain our belief? Why are we not guided with our faith in relationships? The faith we had when we was kids.
Well, like the lady said beforehand, is that what you drag into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, if you're dragging 12 pounds worth of stuff into your relationship, and then, like I said, and you have a wait and see, like that, you're waiting to see if that shoe is going to drop, or this is too good to be true, or my past and what I've done, stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've stole your phrase. No one should ever have to climb Mount Everest. That's just been my adopted phrase. No one should have to climb Mount Everest to really be in a relationship with you, because they shouldn't. You should be able to, at least as I've gone and sit with this process with you guys, I've gained this understanding that I have to be prepared to be present in a relationship. So whatever the work I need to do to get ready and be there. So if I'm not ready to do and be prepared to enter into this relationship, don't get into it. Don't waste that time. Don't waste their time. Don't spend no energy trying to, well, let's get into it and let's try it out. No, either I'm ready to go and I'm ready to fully commit to the process of building something together, or we're just going to just be friends and just stay here. And I'll commit to that. Or even if I can't even do that, because it's too much energy and time just trying to say, okay, well, make me feel comfortable. And then once I feel comfortable, then I'll see. And I'll take a step, not actually engage fully into this whole thing of being accountable and being present and walking together in a relationship.
Also, I just wanted to add too, listening to everybody talking.
You sound low again.
Yeah. We can't hear you that good.
No?
Okay, that's better.
Right now?
Yeah.
All right. So one thing that I'm really getting from this conversation in general is, like, for Christina, like, one thing that I noticed that you said, it was like, like the good days, the bad days. Like, I feel good with you on vacation, but when we're together, Like that to me right there is like big priorities. It's kind of like, where's your principles? Because if I have to sit here and know that I'm chilling with you on vacation, but I can't even spend a day with you, then my priorities is all jacked up. You know what I mean? And I think that's big. That's what's always missing in relationships too. Like, especially in those type of relationships, the priorities are all out of order. So it becomes complex because you have no idea where you stand and what you want, and you can't even set a standard. You know what I mean? And I also think when it comes to agreements, I'm agreeing to something. A lot of people will agree to something, and including myself, and I'm going to give an example. I'll agree to something and then try to find a loophole, and almost not intentional, but because I want something, I think, like, okay, it's not a big deal. So like, let's say I am sharing the bathroom with my boyfriend. He's like, listen, like, I don't like sharing the bathroom with you. And I'm like, all right, cool. But then I knock and I ask him to go in just to get something out. Like, if he's saying that he doesn't want me in the bathroom with him, I can't say, well, it's just going to be for a few minutes. If I agree that, I shouldn't be in the bathroom with him, I shouldn't be knocking at all, unless I actually have to use the bathroom. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times, because based on what we want, we try to find like little loopholes to get it and avoid the whole idea of the agreeing, instead of just understanding, like, I agree not to bother me in the bathroom, and then that's what it is. You know what I mean? So I think those are two really big things. Not really understanding what you're agreeing to, or trying to find loopholes, and not having set priorities as to where you stand in your principles.
Well,
I think those are amazing points. Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks.
It's fine. No, yeah, those are great points. And before we move on from the other shoe to drop, I would like to say that anytime that I entered a relationship and I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, I didn't really do my part in vetting the person. I didn't really do my part in making sure that we were all the way compatible. There was something about them that I may have been attracted to, and I really truly wanted it to work. So I kind of held back on who I truly was, didn't really ruffle any feathers, didn't ask the right questions, kind of like just try to leave things as fluffy as possible so that we can maintain the relationship. And anytime that I've ever did that, it just never worked out. So, I learned over time that I had to make sure that I asked I don't care how much I'm attracted, I like somebody, ask the tough questions, make sure that we are all the way aligned before we move forward within the relationship. So yeah, when you think of other shoe to drop, it's really, I know the beginning of a relationship, it's really, you didn't really create a solid foundation. So you don't know when the other shoe is going to drop because you have nothing to hold it all together.
I think the tendency of when I hear the shoe the other drop is that it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Something like this happened in the past, and this person is going to do it. And so I'm going to start speaking to it, and I'm going to start creating the situation, and I'm going to, in a sense, because I have a real strong belief in that you speak a lot of stuff into existence that shouldn't happen. And you begin to speak like, I know this person gonna cheat on me, I know this person gonna cheat on me, and stuff like that. But you're also not only speaking it, but you're also creating distance between this person. So you're pushing them away. You're doing these other things that are creating the ability. And so, and so all of a sudden the person says, well, yeah, I'm tired of trying to be a part of your life and stuff like that, and trying to connect with you. And so, you know what? I'm here. Somebody else is there. And all of a sudden, see, I told you it happened. See, there it is right there. But you never really look back at all the stuff that happened prior to you getting there and saying, okay, well, what things were I doing to contribute to that process and getting there? And I think that happens on both men and women. Men do the same thing when it comes to, hey, she's going to use me because a woman in the past. But you've been treating and doing things and creating a situation where I tend to think that you've already created the situation for it to happen. Not just because the shoe was it really was going to happen, but you didn't fully commit to vetting, talking, staying engaged, connecting. So all of a sudden there's a lot of distance in your relationship, and all of a sudden there's no ability to come back together and grow together. There's no intimacy there. There's no trust there. There's no transparency there. And so all of a sudden,
yeah, it starts with really, like I said, like really just having the discussion, making sure that I don't agree with anyone going into another relationship with old baggage and assuming, or even committing to somebody believing that there's a possibility that they're going to cheat. You know what I mean? I think that those are all bad ways to start a relationship. But I do think that having the conversation, not living in your head, and just saying, maybe I don't want to rush into this relationship right now because I've been burned in the past. So I just want to make sure that we are aligned, we believe in the same thing, and then maybe we can move forward instead of, hey, I'm going to commit to you, but I still don't trust you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to commit to you, but, I'm going to keep you. I'm not going to give you all of me. You're only going to get about 75% of me, but there's 25% that I'm going to keep to myself because I don't truly I don't know you like that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not there yet. Like, those things are unfair when you are committed to somebody, when you're trying to get to know somebody. Like, who is the other person to dictate how far or how long or how much you're going to give to another person when you both just said that, when you both committed to be in it together? You know, like, it gets to this weird place where the relationship it's unequal. And then it seems like one person is catering to the other person, and then that's where the resentment comes. So yeah, it's that was a good analogy that you brought up, Ms. Brown, about the other shoe dropping, but it really, you know, puts things into perspective about when we are connecting with other people, are we leading with this unhealthy idea of what a relationship is and hoping for the best, or we're leading being healthy and knowing that we're going to get the best because we are vetting the person, or we are making sure that we have a solid foundation before we move forward.
And also it's vetting the person and looking at, you know, not saying, oh, I've seen this before. So if you saw it before, then you need to have the conversation, well, this is the behavior that keeps me on edge. You can't just say, like, what's the gentleman's name that was talking before? Barry. Like Barry said, that you're speaking in self-fulfilled prophecy. Like, I'm just gonna speak this into existence, rather than say, you know, that behavior puts me in the mind of something that I'm really trying to get past. And the behavior that the person's exhibiting may not be what you think it is. And if you don't talk to the person, I think a lot of this is communication. If you don't say what you're thinking to the person to make yourself feel at ease, and then let it go, because people will say things and then they'll say it over and over and over again, and they're still waiting for this person to make them feel at ease about trusting them. That's something that me, with the trust issue, have to let go. I have to recognize that I have a trust issue, and I'm going to speak about this. And if you keep speaking about this over and over and over again, the other person is really going to get tired. And it's like, you know, I'm not going to walk on eggshells because you're feeling like this. You need to get past that.
But I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. I think I've gone into situations, and I'll just be honest and stuff like that. I've wanted someone to hold.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, you dropped out.
Barry, you dropped out. We can't hear you. Oh, he's still talking.
Oh, maybe he's having internet issues.
We can't hear you,
Barry.
You can hear you.
Now we can hear you.
Okay.
It's going in.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was saying is that I've made the mistake in past relationships that I've made people carry my insecurities. I've made them responsible for making me feel secure, instead of saying, you know what, let me go deal with this on my own way and time. I'm not prepared for a relationship. And so until I'm prepared for a relationship, I'm just going to hold on, because if I can't healthily go into a relationship and wondering if someone does this, it doesn't absolutely mean that. That's not what it means. It just simply means that that's what it is. I can't make someone, and I go back to my favorite saying, I'm not going to make someone climb Mount Everest every time and get triggered over every little thing because something like that happened in the past. Everyone deserves every relationship you go into, opportunity to be.
We can't hear you again, Barry. He keeps dropping off. I don't know what's happening today.
He's making good points.
I don't know what's happening today.
My internet's a little spotty as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. But, I mean, until Barry gets it together, I mean, why don't we look at it at, why are we not learning from our past relationships? Why are we not becoming stronger from our past relationship? Why do we always carry the bags from our past relationships when we should let them go and believe that the next person we meet is going to be a fresh start? Again, why are we sitting at home trying to learn relationships without actually being in relationships? Like we're everything we want to be in relationships. We're everything by ourselves. When we're in the room, we watching TV, we know all the right things to say. We know this person's doing this. We reading a book, this person's doing this. It's glaring, right? Until we're in the relationship doing the same exact thing. Why? Because the only way to prepare to be in a relationship is having faith that you deserve a relationship. It's not losing your faith in the process of each relationship. You're hurt after you get out of a relationship. Look in the mirror and see if the relationship was worth the time. Look and see if the relationship is worth working on. Look and see what happened in the relationship that you can change, that you have control of, and control what you can't control, and then become a greater person due to that breakup for another person, or even the same person if you decide to go back in the relationship. But once you say, I'm just carrying bags, it's like you adapt a victim mentality. And then you walk into that relationship with that victim mentality. And then the whole relationship revolves around you and your mentality. So how is somebody going to bring the best out of you when every time you believe you need to be saved? Because they're carrying bags too, especially as you get older. Everybody's carrying some form of luggage. So what we out to prove, my bag is heavier than your bag? And then it becomes a competition of,
Anyway, I dropped my bag. I lost it somewhere out this street.
is what I'm saying. It's like, challenge people, but we're spending a lot of time talking about getting into relationships. What happened when these things happen while you're in the relationship?
Well,
are you willing to take a step back? Are you saying to yourself, listen, obviously we're not working as partners. Let's go back to being friends and seeing if we can go back to being partners. Are you like just walking away from the relationship versus seeing what you can salvage in a relationship? Like that's the thing, that's the mentality we're talking about when it's about togetherness.
What about self-reflection?
Huh?
What do you think about self-reflection?
I think self-reflection is great. I think self-reflection is a good thing, but it doesn't take the whole day.
No, it doesn't.
You have pieces in the day. I don't care who you are. You have pieces in the day where you self-reflect. It's like I went to work. I used to always tell my family, I go to work. I have a lot on my plate from home maybe. I'm thinking about it while I'm on my way to work so I don't bring it into the office. When I'm in the office, I'm handling certain things. I have new issues when I leave the office. I take my commute, take a deep breath, think about all the issues so I can be the best when I get in the house. And if I can't work through it on my own, then I add somebody. So self-reflection, if you have a group of friends you just got in a loving relationship, a romantic relationship, why are you not relying on them who are actually in a greater place than you are to actually help you through things? Why are you always retreating to self?
Ego.
Well, yeah, like we talked about yesterday with my daughter and her friend. Like I did a lot of self-reflecting as a teenager. I have like tons and tons of journals of just my thoughts. But all they did was stay on those pages. You know, like I wrote down what I was thinking, but I really had no one around me to tell me that it's good to write things down. It's good to gather your thoughts. But in order for you to improve relationships around you, you have to have the conversation. And so as I was reading my journals when I was, packing up, putting stuff in storage and throwing out, doing some spring cleaning, because a lot of us did that, during quarantine. I was like, damn, like I had some serious issues, but I really, again, all of those things they were just in my notebook. And I didn't really bring those things to my friends. I wasn't really as honest with them about what was going on, and it didn't help the relationship. And that was my advice that I was giving to my daughter and her friend, that, we all need moments where we can take time to ourselves and think about what's happening around us, our relationships, and how we want to proceed. But that's nothing if you don't share it with the people around you. Don't do what I did and have a whole bunch of sad journals about my feelings being hurt every 5 seconds. And I had every opportunity to do something about it, and never did. And that's what I would tell my 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old self, is that, you should be able to have that conversation with the people that you love, the people that you're building with, because in order for you guys to be in the best space, whether that's together or apart, you have to be honest about what you're thinking. And I think that that's where we're not really comfortable at. We're not really comfortable in that place of saying that this is what I'm thinking. because you don't want to piss anybody off, or you don't want to deal with the other person's thoughts or feelings on that, so you keep things to yourself. But really, we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage, and we're creating a wedge within the relationship by not bringing it up. And we may not think it. We're going through life thinking nothing. You know, my friend, who I was writing in my journal about when we were going through our little tips or whatever, I was in her wedding. I was around for the birth of her child, but we didn't really have that. Like I wasn't really honest about what was going on. So like, how solid were we? You know what I mean? And I think that that's really important, that you need time to think about things, but it shouldn't take, like as you said, it shouldn't take forever. And you should have like a plan of action. Like the first thing is to think about it. The second part, what you're going to do about it, and how you're going to bring the next person into the fold, because you're not in this by yourself.
What I think is can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I think is so important about what you just said, and just into this topic in general is.
You're low. You're low.
How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, but I think that like this is a very big part of. I just think this part really matters, because even growing up, when you're by yourself and you're reflecting, you're thinking about so many different things that could not even be accurate. You have all these ideas, all of these beliefs, all of these things, whether it be based off from your household, just things that you conjure up on your own, maybe through TV, whatever. And I've developed this level of anxiety from different things in my life. And if I would have spoken about those things when I was a lot younger, I would have been in a way better space as an adult. But I didn't. And so my anxiety grew and grew and grew and became this monster that basically took over my life. And had I spoke about that a lot earlier, like I said, I would have been in a much better place. So just even as an adult, when we're thinking about these things and communicating with the people, for self-reflection is great. But like we said, there should be action. There should always be people that you can talk about these things with, because you can be totally off, and they can redirect you and put you on the right path.
I think what Jasmine is, I want to just
trying to go.
Oh, I was going to jump on there. Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead. Doc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say that I believe that a lot of the theories that we're talking about here are great, you know what I'm saying? But it's basically like a template that we're talking about when we talk about how we're gonna address stuff and how we expect those outcomes to be. But like each relationship has its own unique calibration that has to be taken into consideration. Like each relationship has its own rhythm, you know what I'm saying? Like I believe it was Barry earlier. I think he used an example of like a rowing boat where you got different people on the boat and y'all all rowing. You got to row in unison. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can think about, all right, if such and such a situation comes up, this is how I'm going to address it. But you know what I'm saying? Like for everybody that's been in more than one different relationship, you realize that you interact with one person differently than how you interact with a different person. You know what I'm saying? So that outcome's going to be different. So we got to, and I think that might be part of the reason why some people don't always address things. I know me in the past, you know what I'm saying? I might have seen some questionable behavior or something like that, and I didn't bring it up. I'm just like, all right, let me see what's going to happen from here. You know what I'm saying? What's your next move? And you know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of like psychoanalyzing instead of just addressing it. When that probably would have been the more healthier thing to do, would have been to just address it, you know?
But I don't know. Did you say Barry was going to go after him? But I just want to touch on what you just said really quickly, and then Barry, you can go. But in your personal relationships, everyone should be pretty much, if you have principles driving you, if you have beliefs in place, then you should be the same person throughout. We're not talking about work. Like I'm a director at my job, right? So yes, I do, I have a team and I have to move people accordingly. So yes, everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different work ethics. So I even in that situation, I'm still myself, and they have to meet me where I'm at. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, that's me personally. That's how I manage my team, right? But when it comes to personal relationships, you should be who you're going to be, and it should be a one size fit all situation, and everyone should meet you where you're at. Like you shouldn't just because say Anne doesn't like me to raise my voice, so I'm gonna talk in low tones, and this person doesn't like that I'm this way, so I should be who I'm gonna be, and they should be able to deal with that in personal relationships.
Yeah, that's not what I was saying. I would take the example that Jasmine gave as an example. You know what I'm saying? Who Jasmine is as a person is like, yo, I want to go in the bathroom with my boyfriend while they're in there. That's who she is. So that's what she's bringing. But he's like, nah, I don't like that. I want my personal space while in the bathroom. Because of that, they got to come to a compromise that works for the both of them.
Yes, I do agree with that.
So she didn't change who she was at the core as a person,
Okay.
but how she interacted with that person had to change. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
because of the other variable.
But then there's nothing. But just to go back to what you originally started out with, but there's nothing. It's a template, but it does fit all. It's like what you were saying. It's one size fits all, because at the end of the day, because it's not a core value of mine, the next step would be to now negotiate, right? To say, okay, well, right. So you would do that in any relationship, no matter who you're with, because if it's not core, then you can negotiate it, and that would be absolutely the template. So what I'm saying is how you start off would be incorrect, because it is a template and it can fit everybody when it's your core principles, and when it's not, negotiate. But even that should still have a plan. Like, you should still have a plan. Okay, on the things that are not my non-negotiables, we have to come to a compromise, and that template would fit everybody.
No. I wasn't saying the template wouldn't fit. I'm saying it's a great template, and if exercised, you know what I'm saying, is a powerful tool. Okay. However, we do got to take into consideration the rhythm aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Each relationship has its own unique rhythm. In order for us to do this Zoom meeting effectively, we got to pay attention to the rhythm of the conversation. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't jump in and overtalk you. You can't jump in and overtalk Barry. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a certain rhythm that goes on even with this conversation. So, you know what I'm saying? A relationship is going to have a certain rhythm and cadence that has to be acknowledged when implementing that template. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's rules of engagement.
I just want to correct the word compromise. Remember, we discussed compromise means you're compromising is not a positive. We agree. We come to agreement.
Yeah.
You come to agreement, then y'all both signed on. You compromise, it breeds resentment eventually.
Yeah, that's because someone is lessening what they want to bring to the table just to appease the other person.
Definitely. So I just want people to understand, like, compromise is not the goal. Coming to agreement is. So if you come to agreement, it means both people are satisfied. It means both people agree to something. You can hold them accountable.
Barry going next?
Yeah, Barry.
Barry.
No, I think what everybody's saying is spot on. I think so. To your point, Jasmine, it's not just talking to some people; it's talking to people that will allow them to hold you accountable. Because, you know, just like the internet, you can go find what supports your view. And I also have to think that sometimes we do have people we are in relationships with people who support our view no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And they support what we want to hear, not what's the truth. I've had situations where I've had to get rid of people in my life where, hey, look, you know what? You're telling me what I want to hear because, that's the nature of our relationship. That's what we do. It's not transparent. It's not based on you telling me the truth. It's just based on you flattering me and making me feel good about myself instead of telling me, hey, what, dude, your stuff sucks. And that's the kind of, so it's not just saying, go talk to somebody. It's go talk to people that you can be accountable to.
Yeah,
and
of
course, the truth, regardless of whether it is good or, good makes you feel good or bad, telling you the actual truth. Because there's a lot of relationships that are broken up because the person went to go talk to somebody and all they got was validation for how they felt, but not the truth of the matter. And so it's one thing to go say, hey, I'm gonna go talk to somebody about my feelings. It's another thing to say, hey, you know what? No, I don't think this is true. I think you're off. You need to go look at that. And that's not correct. We need to rethink that one because you're wrong on that one.
Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, so I wanted to recap on something. I hope it's not too loud in the background. Kids are watching a movie. So last week, Jerry said something that completely it just got me so good. And she said, if someone agrees with me 100%, I don't trust them. Like, I'm not into that, right? Because then they're not telling me the truth because nobody gets along all the time. And I love that you just said that out loud. Like, I think that's what people think, but very few people are, at least in my experience, I don't hear that often. I was like, yes, thank you for saying that because I really felt it. And I don't want someone to agree with me all the time. In fact, I find it interesting to have opposing views, and not that we have to fight, but a debate can be very stimulating, even about my own behavior. Like, hey, I think you're totally being, some 4-letter words or 5-letter words. And I'm like, Well, maybe you could tell me why, because what I love telling people and myself is we don't experience ourselves. This is who we are all the time in our own damn skin, and we have no contrast. All we can do is compare ourselves with others and contrast of others. But I don't know what it's like hanging out with me 24/7. And if you had some feedback, I'd probably be open to hearing it, because, whatever. Maybe I'm not so great. And Barry, I loved what you said too. I really wanted to comment on that, which I think you're hitting a nail there, which, we can find the people that are going to agree with us, but are they really telling us productive truths? Because we all do need to change, right? And not need to, I don't want to make it sound like that, but I'm a grower. I want to grow my whole life. I always want to get better. And so there's nothing in me that's like, oh yeah, I reached the top and I'm just, 100% where I'm at. So, if you've ever done like the wheel of life and giving yourself a score, and then what score do you want to be at? If you're at a 5, how do you get to a 6? And in, relationships and fitness and health and work and salary and spirituality and whatever the things are, right? But this idea that when you agree with me, it's not necessarily productive, because then I'm not learning, I'm not growing, and then I don't see myself necessarily accurately. And then I think it does feed into that kind of victim mentality again, right? So if all my friends agree with me and you're the jerk, then I get to be the victim.
Right. So, so with that said, I think that listening to everybody, and sometimes getting back to what Jerry said about journaling, we're taught by psychologists to journal and read over our thoughts, but not sharing those thoughts can be like just one-sided. This is how you view the world, and there may be some flaws in that. So if you share it, you can get some real feedback. And I think that when we journal, we're afraid of sharing. There's that fear that if I say this, people are going to not like me, or people are going to think that I'm weird. But if you trust people and you have the right people in your circle, like I said, my girlfriends.
Oh, it must have went out.
And they don't condone my bullshit. Excuse my language, my BS.
Huh? I think there's like a delay a little bit.
So they're not going to condone it. They're going to hold me accountable. No, LaVon, what are you doing? So I think that fear is a big part of why people don't share, because they're afraid that someone's going to tell them the truth.
Yeah, let me touch on what everybody's saying. Like, just the point Drastic made about being unique. The first thing we see is people's uniqueness. You don't have to remind us that you're unique. Another person doesn't have to remind us they're unique. We struggle with actually coming together. We struggle with what we have in common. That's what the problem is with relationships. Everybody's fighting to maintain themselves, that they're self-preservating out of their relationships. They're so busy. I'm unique. I'm different. I'm different than that person. I'm different than the next person you was with. Everybody understands you're different. Nobody, I don't think people walking down the street don't see that this person has big lips, this person has a bigger head, this person's short, they see it, they notice it. The first thing you see is the physical. And then when you're speaking to somebody, you understand this person speaks a different language, this person don't articulate well, you're taking in information constantly. And what's different about the person is what you're taking in the most. You're constantly taking in what's different all the time. So we need to really start focusing on what we have and what's similar. And it starts with asking, what do we have what does togetherness mean? What does purpose mean? What does these words mean? Because touching on Christine's point, she said, I want to be in a situation where I'm growing. And I'm like, everything in the world at some point stops growing and maintains its form and has a full understanding of who they are. They're fully committed. So they're spending time maintaining. So when you're going into a relationship, aren't you maintaining a sense of self and connecting with somebody who reconfirms who you are, and you reconfirm who they are, and y'all building together. So like where it comes to like the growth, we're constantly on a treadmill. always looking to grow. But when you coming together, you're building towards each other. You get what I'm saying? You're building towards each other. So even a building gets completed. So when you always think there's no completion, how do you build self-worth? How do you ever settle down and say, listen, I'm worthy? When does that happen? Now we have to think about that. When do you look in the mirror and say, yo, I really love who I am. I really enjoy who I am. That's what we have to ask ourselves, because we use words that politically sound good. They sound great. But a lot of our issues now is passive aggressiveness. We're all becoming great politicians. Everybody seems like the greatest people in the world before you're in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And I do want to add on what you said there, because I agree, but I disagree. And I know this is a place I can do that. Because you guys don't want people pleasers, and I'm not one anyways. So, you know, I do believe that there is some plateaus, but then I also believe that part of our satisfaction in life is growth and progress.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, some of the people, I love this story. I tell people, you know, this a couple years ago, I was hiking with my son, and there's this, she had to be about 72 years old, and she's hunched over this fence, breathing really hard. And I pull over, and I'm like worried about her. And I'm like, oh my, are you okay? Do you need water? And she turns around and she looks at me and she goes, I'm just catching my breath. I just ran 13 miles.
Wow.
And at this point, I'm like, I might run 1.5 miles and look like you, hunched over the fence. And she was so inspiring. Just that one little moment. I don't know her name. I drove away, but I was like, you know what? Good for her. And that was amazing to me. And so I'm a really ambitious person by nature, and not that everybody has to be or anything like that. But if I'm saying I love myself, I know myself, I'm worthy, I also know that this is what feeds me. Like I'm very stimulated. That's why I'm part of this group. You know, it's not like, you know, I'm a marriage and family therapist and I know everything. I have 2 pages of notes from our conversation tonight, because I think all the heads in the room and everything everybody's saying is so brilliant, and they're not my thoughts. I wouldn't have thought of this. So I love that I can pull different perspectives and all of this, and then I'm going to share it. I think it's beautiful, beautiful tidbits of wisdom that everybody's accumulated in their own ways. And I also think that in relationships, if we're not growing, you know, I always like to say, you know, complacency kills. And only because that's what I see. You know, when you stop growing, when you stop being excited about each other, when you stop the date nights, when you stop putting that energy in, you may have plateaued, but complacency kills. So now you're going to want to seek that new relationship to build that new house. And I could be wrong. I love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, definitely. You know,
I think there's no such thing as complacency. You're either moving forward or you're moving behind. There's no such thing as stand still.
Okay. So what if we said growth? Like now we look at the word growth. You just said it. You want to be nurtured. Being nurtured is eating. Doesn't mean that you're growing. It just means that you're being nurtured. So the tree still has to get watered. You still have to eat. It didn't grow an inch. The leaves didn't get better, didn't get stronger. All that you're now at a certain age, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we're all getting there. We're just maintaining at this point. We're trying to maintain from our leaves falling and us dying, and we get to a point where we're wise. We done seen it all, right? We done seen everything there is to throw at us. But right now we're maintaining. We're not running as fast as we once did. There's a lot that we're maintaining. So when we look at the word grow, I'm looking at a teenager's growing. We're actually teaching. We're at a place where we're teaching because we have so much information. So we're in that we at that stage in life where we're educating and we're teaching. So we're constantly feeding ourselves, but we have a clear understanding of where we want to put the energy. Like you just said, you're a family therapist. So you get all the information to inspire other people.
And that's all I do with it. I just constantly learn so that I can give, and I feel like a funnel.
But
I love that you said that. I love nurture. I'm I love that. Thank you for teasing that
I
out
would
a little
say
bit, because that was
nurturing.
brilliant.
Thank you. I would say nurturing is the place to go. Growth is always saying we have to go somewhere. Nurturing is saying we're great where we're at. We just got to keep on feeding ourselves.
I love that.
We got to keep on feeding ourselves more information all the time. So when you're in a relationship, you nurture the relationship. It's an organism. It's a thing. So you nurture it. The problem is you waiting for your partner to grow.
Yeah.
You waiting for your friend to grow.
Hold on, you gotta get in the organ again. You gotta get in the organ again.
Nurture. You just maintain their leaves, keep them green. That's all we're doing. We joined the relationship. We said in this commitment, I really enjoy who you are. I'm not trying to make no adjustments. I'm not trying to change you. I really enjoy who you are.
And that should be enough.
And then having that commitment, you're saying, I'm going to nurture who you are. So you already told me your dreams. You already told me what you want to accomplish. You told me your purpose. You gave me the definitions to everything we speak about every week. I'm now saying we're ready to enter a relationship. I believe in you. You believe in me. So from that point on, we're going to make sure each other doesn't fall short of who we say we are, our greatest self. And everybody's so scared because they believe there's another level than nurturing their relationship.
Well, no, we're socialized to believe that we are constantly evolving and we have to always grow. If you have a conversation with people and you're not, if growth is not part of the conversation, they're looking at you like, who the hell are you? So I think to your point, I think that, that's why we're here. It's about, redefining things and really using words properly. It's about nurturing. Because if you're still growing and I'm at a place where I like who I am and I want to maintain that, then you're probably not the person for me. Right? So those are the key words, those trigger words that we should be mindful of when we're connecting with people, because those are things that we should be mindful of. It's like when you, and I didn't even always connect it the same way, because again, you're taught that you're supposed to always be growing. Like if you're not growing, somebody's looking at you like you're stubborn, or that you are, you are lazy, or you don't really, you're an underachiever or whatever. But some people know what they want and they just want to stay there. Like I have a full-time job outside of Love is a Group Journey, and I'm okay at the level I'm at. I'm okay. I don't want to be any higher. I obviously can't go any low, be demoted, but the point is that I'm perfectly fine where I'm at. But someone else within that's probably at the same place that I'm at may think that I'm not as ambitious, or I'm not, or I'm being lazy, or I don't want the responsibility. But the reality is I don't want the responsibility, because I want to be able to nurture my own business, and I want to be able to do my own thing, and I don't want that of responsibility. So I know what I want, and it's not to be anything higher than what I'm at. And and that's okay. And people, don't really feel comfortable hearing like that you're okay and at a certain place, because they a lot of people project and they have their own goals and they have their own things that they want. And it's like, well, if I were you, I would want to do this, but you're not me, and I have bigger plans, and I want to be able to put my energy into the things that really matter to me, that's going to leave a legacy, is going to nurture me in a totally different way. And I think that that's okay. I think if people were honest about what they truly want and stuck to that, then I think that they will connect with better people that's suited for them. But people dumb down, or we don't want to, put our feet in the ground and say, I'm okay here. Like they're afraid to put themselves in boxes, or, or they're afraid to say that they want to be a certain place or do a certain thing. And it's okay. It's okay to say, I love who I am. I love that I'm outspoken. I love that I'm ambitious. I love that I'm a leader. I love that I don't mind leading. I love all those things. So you shouldn't allow people to take that away from you if you truly love it. And only connect with people that's going to enhance that, not take away from it, or you have to dumb down for.
I think that was a great point right there. Yeah. Be around people who are going to enhance.
Yeah.
Like we're not the greatest we are by ourselves. So when we are complacent, I would say that's complacency. I'm just cool by myself. I'm just trying to get an understanding. Where's your extra eyes? Like you can be amazing with other people, connecting at the root.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nurturing your relationship.
if you're
It's
allowing,
always a relationship to be nurtured.
if you
So when
allow
you're
people
spending
to
time, too much time thinking about yourself, guess who's not getting nurtured?
Yeah.
Everybody else that's in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's not getting nurtured. So everything revolves around you at that particular time. Now, we all get hurt. Like, we all have deaths in our family. We all have things that occur. But our belief is life, and our belief is helping everybody who's still living. And if you maintain your beliefs, then sky's the limit. You lose track of your beliefs, you'll wake up and not know who you are.
Yeah.
You'll be lost in sea somewhere.
I think this is going to the point what you're saying, Nate, is that this is why a lot of relationships do wither and die, because the person is in a sense taking all, they want to be nurtured, but they can't or won't nurture anybody else because of those hurts and those pains. And so guess what? I need to feed myself. I need to be cared. I need to be taken care of. It's me, and it's not we, because we need to nurture each other. We can't, you cannot be in a relationship and it just be all about one person. It cannot be. It will kill that relationship. It will die. I've been there on both sides, and one of the reasons why I'm reading some of the books I'm reading, because I want to make sure that when I go into a healthy relationship, I'm capable of nurturing, but I'm also watching to see if this person is going to nurture me back. A lot of people will start off and say, yeah, I want this stuff, but they really don't have the intent to actually nurture you to be your best and want to see you best. They want to change you. They want to put you in a different directions because they like some of the things that you do, but they're not really committed to nurturing. It kind of makes me think about what Will Smith said in his video about love, is that I'm committed to nurturing you to your highest good. And that's the kind of commitment I think that we're all talking about here, is that we're here really trying to get to a place where we're learning how to nurture the people, the relationships that we're in, to be their best and the highest good and the highest self. If we're doing that, we have accountable relationships. We have the kind of relationships that we're talking about, not just ideals, but actually seeing them manifest in a way that actually is doing what we just talk about on a regular basis.
Definitely. But you see what you said, they just nurture themselves. It changes what nurture means. It becomes gluttony.
Yeah.
It's just that quick. When you say, I just need to grow, it changes everything. You're standing on everybody that's under you. You're not growing, you're climbing.
Yeah.
You see, every time you say me and what I need to do, you're hurting somebody else. You got to realize what you're doing, because you have to believe people in your life would naturally look out for you because you're looking out for them. That's the whole faith. They're going to make sure you're your best. So if you put in, you're going to get back. But if you always believe, if I put in, the people aren't going to give me anything back, think about it. What kind of relationship are you in? Relationships with allies or enemies?
Enemies.
And that's what we have to ask ourselves. I mean, it's the words I hear people use all the time. It's just we use them, and yeah, they're perfect when it's being said because it makes us feel a way. But does it really give us principles? Does it set a foundation? We need to really start grabbing words that set foundations. What does it mean to be in togetherness?
Yeah, defining your terms. Because,
let's do this together don't mean it's togetherness.
Yeah.
And I'm happy don't mean it's happiness.
Yeah.
This, once you add this to a word, it's a long-term thing. It's a commitment. It's not just for the moment. But together is for the moment. Happy is for the moment. So you want to hear people's speech.
Well, it goes beyond
togetherness.
But Aziz, it goes beyond hearing a person's speech. It also is making sure that you guys are defining the words in the same way. So like you said, togetherness to them may mean I come home every day and I eat dinner with you, or I come home every day, right? But togetherness for me may mean something totally different. So I think that that's important too, that it's beyond just saying it. It's really like when you think of togetherness, what is your idea of togetherness? And you guys, that's how you guys can decide if you guys are talking about the same thing. Oftentimes people say the same things, right? And they believe that they're talking about the same thing, but in action, they're showing something totally different. And then when you bring it back to the table, like, well, I thought that togetherness meant that I come home every night. I'm like, you were supposed to come home every night. Like, what are you talking about? Like, togetherness means that we're doing things together. You know what I mean? And or we're having this together, you know. So I think it's really important not to just get caught up in and again, I can say that I've done it. You know, it's like, as Nina Aziz was just joking about it, about Frozen, and how Anna, when she met the guy, and she's like, oh my God, we speak the same languages, but really, you know, they were finishing each other's sentences, but he was just really just paying attention, and he knew what she was going to say. There was no major connection there, right? And so in her mind, it's like they were meant to be, but really they talked about a whole bunch of nothing. And so we often do that where, you know, someone will finish a sentence or like, oh, I was thinking the same thing, or I believe the same thing, but don't really go into the details of what a person's really thinking, or having them define things. And then when things explode, you're like, well, you said, you know, you guys have two different ideas, or you guys have two definitions on what you guys are talking about. So I think it's one thing to talk about it, but really understand, like, instead of throwing all these words around that sound good, right? It's really about throwing using the words that make sense, and making and having and encouraging. I'm not going to say make, because you can't make anybody do anything, but encouraging the other person to explain why they believe, like, explain it more. When you think of this, what comes to mind, right? When you think of family, like, some men would say, when I think of family, I'm the breadwinner and I want to, you know, and my wife can stay home. And I'm like, well, I don't believe that. You know what I mean? Like, when I think of family, I think of this, you know what I mean? And so it's really important. Like, we could say we both want family. Like, I want a family, you want a family, but your idea of family, my idea of family may be two totally different things. And we may not know that until we have a family and we're not on the same page. But that's not the time that we should realize that. We should have talked about that early on in the relationship, so that we would even know if we are a good match.
Definitely.
And I think, you know, that whole being specific, vague doesn't work. Vague,
No.
when we throw away, you know, just words or umbrellas, we're not getting anywhere. Like you said, you may be saying a lot of words, but until you get really specific, that's when you really start trying to kind of untangle things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. But, you know, it's very important for us to look at. I mean, today's topic was togetherness, and obviously we displayed it by, you know, having this discussion. But it's greater than just doing things together. It's showing up, saying I'm going to show up, being present when you show up. Don't think, oh, just I walked in the door, I'm here. That's good.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's actually being there, engaging, adding to every relationship you're in, and making sure you're an addition, not a subtraction. And if you can do that daily and make sure you're an addition and not a subtraction, then you're ready for togetherness. But if you think it's okay to be a subtraction at times, you might have to rethink your life. You might have to rethink your relationships. You might have to ask yourself, am I truly ready for a relationship, and do I need to have to talk to certain people to get prepared for a healthy and equal relationship? But, you know, it's around that time. So, Gary, you up?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, and people need to stop enabling, like, just bad behavior or behaviors that's not gonna really forge true healthy togetherness. And that's where, you know, that's what we should all take away. Like, we have relationships, and sometimes we don't want to deal with certain things, so we don't say anything, but we should say something. These are the people that are in our lives. These are the people that we want to have relationships with. We want to have healthy relationships, so take the time. But I want to say, like, whoever didn't get a chance to share this video, share it on Facebook, because it was a great discussion, and I think a lot of people can learn from it. I would like to thank everyone that joined tonight. It was another great discussion. We have some new people, so I'd like to thank them for joining, and some old and new people that joined as well. If anyone didn't get a chance to, could you please, we have a website called Love as a Group Journey. We have services, so if anyone knows of anyone who needs support within their friendships or relationships, they can come to us. You can check us out. We have one-on-one sessions, we have friendship sessions, we have couple sessions, and we also have a 6-week session where we have people that don't know each other, and they come on kind of like similar to this format, and we talk about things that will help them strengthen the relationships around them. So if you guys are interested in that, we're having one soon. We haven't nailed the date yet. I know that we said September, but we may push it out. But we'll let you guys know about that as well. just continue to spread the word. Like, we don't want to enable people. We if we know better, we do better. And, you know, send people to our website, have them join the conversation. We want to, you know, spread the message of healthy relationships. Everything shouldn't be so dramatic. Everything doesn't have to be so hard. We are in control of everything. So we just want to let you guys know that love is a group journey. And if you want to have a healthy journey, come see us.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. After you
Everybody-
stop recording, okay. Can you two stay on for a minute after?